Hi everyone, and thanks for taking the time to watch this session. My name is Laura and I'm from Fleischmann Hillard, a communications agency that provides issues and reputation management support to the Australian Mushroom Growers Association. Whether you run a large operation with dedicated quality assurance teams or a small family farm where everyone pitches in across picking, packing and deliveries, this session is about one thing: how to protect your business and your reputation when something goes wrong. Because in today's media landscape, reputation issues move incredibly fast. So what could go wrong on your farm? It could be a food safety concern, a worker safety incident, a biosecurity issue, an agrochemical issue, or even a single social media post spreading misinformation online. An issue on one mushroom farm could erode confidence in the entire mushroom industry. And the reality is, most reputation crises don't start because people intended to do the wrong thing. They escalate because businesses weren't prepared for how quickly issues spread. So while you're working to contain the issue, you need to also work to contain the potential reputational fallout, not only for your business, but the broader mushroom industry too. That's why the AMGA has developed the Reputation Risk Management Framework and AMSAFE response process to help growers not only manage the issue itself, but also manage the reputational impact that may follow from both their farm and the broader industry. This session is not about creating more paperwork. It's about making sure you know what could go wrong, who to contact, what to say, and how to respond in the first few hours, both operationally and reputationally, because those first few hours matter the most. When people hear the words risk management, they often think about insurance, audits, or compliance. But reputation risk is different. It's about trust. Trust from retailers, trust from consumers, trust from regulators, trust from your workers. And once trust is damaged, it can be difficult and expensive to rebuild. The AMGA Reputation Risk Framework puts it simply: a crisis is an issue that hasn't been contained. In other words, the goal is not to eliminate every possible risk, because farming always involves risk. The goal is not just to manage the operational issue, it's to stop the issue from becoming a reputational crisis. And we've seen this happen across Australian agriculture. Think about the attention the Erin Patterson mushroom poisoning case brought across the Australian Mushroom Growing Association and industry. Even though commercial mushroom growers had nothing to do with the incident, the entire mushroom category became part of the public conversation overnight. Growers suddenly faced questions from friends, customers, and their communities. Or look at the varroa mite outbreak in the honeybee industry. One biosecurity issue quickly became a national issue, affecting supply chains, public confidence, and industry reputation. And across horticulture more broadly, labour hire and worker exploitation stories have damaged trust in industries that rely heavily on seasonal workers. These examples remind us of something important. Sometimes the issue starts on your farm, sometimes it starts somewhere else, but the reputational impact can still land on your business. That's why preparation matters, and that's an important distinction. A grower's first priority will always be managing the operational issue, whether that's food safety, worker safety, biosecurity, or product quality. But alongside that, there also needs to be a focus on managing reputation. Because even when the operational issue is contained, reputational damage can continue if communication isn't delayed, inconsistent, or unclear. That's why reputation risk management should sit alongside every other form of risk management on your farm. The AMGA Risk Reputation Management Framework identifies 6 key areas growers should think about. The first is food safety. Things like contamination, residues, recalls, foreign objects, or confusion around imported or wild mushrooms. Second is biosecurity. Things like pests, disease, imported materials, or anything that could threaten Australian mushroom production. Third is environment and sustainability, including runoff, packaging, carbon footprint, and resource availability. Fourth is product quality. Because mushrooms are largely unbranded, issues with shelf life, labelling, packaging, or presentation can quickly affect confidence across the whole category. Fifth is ethical industry behaviour, including worker safety, fair work compliance, labour hire, certification, and modern slavery risks. And sixth is broader industry issues, things like workforce shortages, supply chain disruption, climate impacts, data breaches, or industry infighting. And across all these risks is the growing challenge of misinformation online, including AI-generated content and false claims spreading quickly on social media. The key question for every grower is simple. If one of these issues happened on my farm tomorrow, would I know what to do first? The good news is this does not have to be complicated. Every grower, regardless of size, should have a simple reputation risk plan covering a few things. First, know your risks. Ask yourself, what are the most likely issues on our farm? Maybe it's food safety, a worker injury, a biosecurity concern. Second, know who makes the decisions. If something happens at 6 a.m. on a Saturday, who decides, who gets called, or when to notify the AMGA or regulators? Third, keep contact lists current. You should have emergency contacts, AMGA contacts, retailer contacts, regulator contacts, and the AMSAFE contact details readily available. And fourth, train your staff. Your team should understand how to escalate an issue and who they report concerns to. One of the most important parts of the AMGA reputation risk management framework is escalation. Growers do not need to handle major issues alone. The key principle is simple. If you think an issue could affect consumer confidence, retailers, regulators, media attention, or other growers, escalate it early. Do not wait for certainty. The AMGA Reputation Risk Framework encourages growers to contact the AMGA immediately if a significant issue is identified. That allows the industry to understand what's happening, coordinate accurate information, support affected growers, and prevent misinformation from spreading. The AMGA Reputation Risk Management Framework follows 3 key stages: inform, assess, act. That means identify the issue quickly, establish the facts, assess the level of risk, and coordinate the right response. Importantly, managing the operation issue and managing the reputational impact must happen together. For example, if there is a food safety issue, regulars may need to be notified, product may need to be isolated, and communications may be needed to reassure retailers and consumers. Managing the issue matters, and protecting trust and confidence matters too. And remember, early communication with the AMGA and AMSAFE is designed to protect growers, not punish them. In almost every agricultural crisis, the businesses that recover best tend to do 5 things really well. They act quickly to manage the issue. They communicate clearly and honestly. They avoid speculation. They show corrective action, and they stay coordinated throughout the process. What usually causes damage is silence, delay, inconsistency, or defensive responses. You do not need to have every answer immediately, but people will expect accountability, transparency, and evidence that the issue is being managed. That is true whether you are dealing with a recall, a staff complaint, a contamination concern, or a viral social media allegation. The AMGA can support you during an incident, so please alert them early. To finish up, the key message is this: You do not need a complicated corporate crisis manual. What matters most is having a simple, practical plan that helps you quickly act under pressure. If you are a small grower, start with the basics. Identify your top risks, create a contact list, train your staff. Prepare a simple escalation process, and know when to contact the AMGA and AMSAFE. If you are a larger operator, this is important to review and strengthen existing systems, because protecting your reputation protects your relationships, your workers, your customers, and the long-term strength of the Australian mushroom industry. The AMGA has developed templates and resources you can download from the URL on the screen and adapt for your own business, including a reputation risk assessment test template, an escalation framework, and contact list. We encourage every grower to take the time to review these materials with the people in your business responsible for operations, QA, HR, or communications. Thanks again for your time and for the role you play in protecting the integrity and reputation of Australian mushrooms.